everyone. Welcome back. Hopefully you've been enjoying crocheting your sweater. So now we're to finishing. And I have to tell you, it's always one of those things that you read the finishing and it's like, sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes it's a page. And you're like, why does this take so long? I've gotten through all of these pages of work and now this little bit takes so long. It's funny, but yeah, finishing sometimes can take just as long as crocheting your panels. But that's okay. It's a part of the journey. It's a process and there's nothing wrong with it. There's lots of different ways of doing finishing. And I keep saying that word, but I'm not explaining what it is. So finishing is everything you do to your sweater after you finish crocheting it. So it includes blocking, which hopefully you've already done. It includes seaming. It includes whatever edging you're doing, collars, cowls, all those things. Everything you do after you finish crocheting your panels. That's finishing. And sometimes in patterns, when you read them, it's just like this little paragraph, but there's so much to it. And there's a lot of things that happen and there's a lot of questions and it's a sentence and you're like, well, what does exactly that means? Well, that's what I'm here for. Hey, everybody. So we are going to transform those two panels into a sweater. That is what we're doing today. And first things first, since I had you block it yesterday or whenever you did part 4, today is our seaming day. Now, why did I do that? The blocking. What I find, it's much easier to do all of your finishing work if your panels are blocked. And I don't want you to freak out if you didn't block it. You can absolutely block your sweater because obviously at some point you're going to wash your sweater. So you're going to need to lay it out at some point. Um, so you can block it when it's all together in a sweater. It just takes a lot longer because think about it. It's 2 fabrics. So now 2 fabrics have to dry, all pinned out and stretched out. And the reason you do it is that's how you see all of the pretty stitches when they're all laid out. When after you finish crocheting, it's like all jumbled up. So that's why you want to block it. It lays it all out and makes it nice and pretty. Plus, I find if you do it before you do your finishing, it makes everything easier because now you're dealing with the same dimensions. When you were crocheting, your tension might have gone a little wonky, so you're like, why is this shoulder doesn't match up? It could have been that it wasn't blocked. It's the same amount of stitches. It just needs blocked. But I don't want you to stress out. If you didn't do it, you can do it after you're all done. It's okay. Just know that it's going to take a lot longer to dry because now you're trying to dry 2 fabrics. All right. So first things first, seaming. Let's talk a lot about seaming. And in our sweater, there's a couple of things that you need to know when you're seaming. So let's take a look at my desk. Here I have my 2 panels. I have my front panel and I have my back panel. And what's going on here? Now, I don't want you to get too confused. This has the V neckline. So if you have the VIP package, this is what the V neckline looks like. If you're doing the free version, yours probably looks like this. You know, you don't have the V, but you do have a bit of an angle. If you're doing the VIP package and doing the cowl or the split neck, then you also have a crew neckline. So don't worry about the neckline. There's 2 things you need to do before you actually start seaming here. First thing is it tells you that you need to put your 2 panels together with the right sides facing. So the right sides have to be together or kissing. How do you know what's the right side and wrong side? So this is one of those great things to eventually learn of how to tell a right side stitch from a wrong side stitch. First things first. In the pattern, whenever you start, let's say, the back panel or the front panel, it's going to tell you what the first row is either on a WS side, wrong side, or an RS side, right side. So it'll say row 1, parentheses, in our case, RS, which is a right side, which means that we are doing these double crochet rows. Those are, we are working on the right side. When we're doing our single crochet rows, we're working on the wrong side. So what we need to know is this the right side of a double crochet, or is this the right side of a double crochet? I like to use double crochets because they're really, if you're first learning how to see your stitches, the easiest thing to do is find tall stitches because they have a tail really easy. So on right sides of double crochets, you have this great diagonal line. That diagonal line is created by your yarn over. So you can see it in all of your stitches. It's this diagonal line right here. When you're working on your wrong side, there's no diagonal line. What you do see is these bumps going really visible going across the back. That's how you can tell you're on a wrong side. If you see these bumps, this horizontal line of bumps, that's the wrong side of the stitch. When you see these pretty diagonal lines, then you're on the right side. So once you can see it, what I like to do is place a stitch marker on my right side. When you're starting out, it just helps to know right side, wrong side. So the front panel right now, as we're looking at it, is on the right side. If we look at the back panel, this guy is on the wrong side. How do I know that really quickly? Because I see all these horizontal bumps. I don't see a diagonal line. So if I go ahead and turn it over, you're going to see all of those nice diagonal lines. So I go ahead and mark, okay, this is the right side, which means these two need to be put together. So we're going to put these two sides together. So we can lay it all back out with our right sides kissing and our wrong sides facing out. So when you're looking at your front panel, you see the wrong side. You see those horizontal bumps. And when you flip it over on the back panel, you see those horizontal bumps. So the wrong sides are facing out, the right sides are facing in. All right, let's lay this all out nice and neat again. So that was the first thing. The first thing you need to make sure that they are together. The second thing you need to do is on our edges, so obviously this will become our neck, on our edges, it's going to tell you you're going to seam up the side, but you need to leave an opening for your arm. This also is very important why it's blocked, because you need to, if you don't have this blocked beforehand, you could seam up too little or too much, and then your arm can get a little bit out of whack. So if you have it all blocked, then all you have to do is measure down from the top. This is the extra small. So measuring down from the top, I know I need 8 inches for my arm opening. So that means I mark it. This is going to be my arm opening. So I'm going to seam up everything here. I'm going to seam up all of this until I get to here, and then I'm going to leave all of this open. So you're going to need to have your arm opening marked and know what your right sides and wrong sides are before we start seaming. For the sweater, we kept seaming really easy. We didn't want anything to be overwhelming for you. So all of your seams are whip stitch seams, the easiest one you want to do. If you like a different seam, go ahead and do that. That's fine. It's not critical to the project. We just try to make it as easy as possible. Now, if you've never done a whip stitch seam, come along with me. What you first do is you're going to match up. I like to match up my shoulders first, and then you're going to pin it together so it doesn't wiggle out of place. I just use my blocking pins for this. You can absolutely put them together with a big stitch marker. They make these like, it's almost like little claw clips. You could use those, whatever you want to do to keep your panels together. Your panels will match up, so like the holes match up. You can see straight through your sweater. You know, so if you were lining it up and let's say like this was over the solid section, you couldn't see straight through the panel. Like you can see straight through that lace section, but you can't see straight through the lace section here. Then you're just off a little. They should line up exactly so you can see through. Again, done on purpose to make, if this is your first time seaming, just make it a little bit easier for you to see. All right, you don't have to go crazy, just a couple of them. And then what you're going to do is we are going to work through both of the stitches on each side and whip stitch together. So grab an extra bunch of yarn from what you're doing. And thread on your yarn needle. You know, don't need a ton of this. It should not be attached to your ball. It needs to, you know, be used. So you can always grab more as you go. You can always cut a new strand. And what we do is we start at the edge. And how I like to do it when I'm doing the shoulder seam is I will go through the first stitch on my front panel, go through the first stitch on my back panel. So I'm putting both of them on my needle and then pull through. I make sure I leave a tail that I can weave in later. And then I continue. So I go in the same direction every time. I'm going into my first stitch. I'm going into my next same stitch on the back panel. And I pull through. It's like making a candy cane. First stitch, next stitch on my front panel, next stitch on my back panel, and you just continue that all the way across. You'll see I'm just going in the same direction each time. This is the simplest way to seam. And that's all there is to it. It makes a candy cane pattern, as you can see. Then when you're done, you'll go ahead and weave in everything. If you had a super, super, super long tail, so obviously this is not going to get me all the way across, you could absolutely just use your tail to whip stitch your seams. There's nothing wrong with that. Then if you're doing it in the color changing in yarn, it's nice because it's going to be in the same color. For me, I purposely chose two different so you could see what I was doing. We don't stress as much. That's why we do it on the back side. You'll see much less on the front side. When you're doing your side seam, it's the same thing. You're going to line up your sides, and then you're just going to whip stitch through your sides as well. When it comes to doing your sides, obviously you're not going into every stitch, so just do like every half an inch. You're like think of, you know, your little pinky finger up, little stitches all the way up. And with that, that's all you need to know for the seaming. Like I said, we kept it simple on purpose so that it's just your first time doing. But if you do know other seams and you want to do them, go for it. All right, seam it and then come join me next time and we are going to do some edgings. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Go seam your sweater. everybody, welcome back. All right, so now your sweater is all seamed together, and we're gonna do two more things to our sweater today. We're gonna add the bottom ribbing and we're gonna do the collar ribbing. So let's first talk about the bottom ribbing because it's easier. It doesn't really matter which one you do first, but let's talk about that one next. So join me at the table. Okay, so you'll notice in the pattern that there's two different options. So the first option is this, and the second option is this. So I'm guessing or hoping you can see that there's a slight difference that's going on here. Here we can see our single crochets all stacked together, and here we can't really see them. Now there's no better or worse. It's just which bottom edging do you like? This one, very easy. This one is a bit more skill, but you can get it done. And basically, they're both the same. What we're doing is we're going to do a single crochet, chain, single crochet, chain. This one, I make sure that all the single crochets are in one particular space, which is kind of hard to see. And in here, we just put them through the top two loops. So this is what is written, and this is an option. Both look great. It's just decide which one you want to do. So let me talk you through doing the bottom edging. I'm going to bring in our swatch. So don't worry that it's, pretend that this is our whole sweater. And what you're going to do is you go down to your foundation. Join your yarn. And I'm just going to join to the bottom foundation. I'm making sure I'm on the right side so my double crochets have their nice little horizontal line, and I mean diagonal line, and we're going to put a single crochet in each one going across. So just I'm joining with a single crochet, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through those two loops, and just putting a single crochet in each foundation stitch across. We started with an odd number. We all started with an odd number of foundation stitches, so that's what you should have here when you're done. You will want an odd number of stitches. Sometimes the first and last stitch is a little hard to see. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you end up with an odd number of stitches. So I'm just doing single crochets all the way across. Doesn't matter where you are inserting your hook, just be consistent as you go all the way across. And that is the little turning chain. So we are all the way across. All right. First row is real easy, right? Just single crochets. Now we're going to turn our work. So you're going to do this on the front and on the back. So they are not connected. There's a vent. So there's a vent. Makes it an easier way to wear your sweater. What we're going to do is a single crochet, chain one, skip one. So this is just the regular option. Single crochet, chain one, skip one. Single crochet, chain one, skip one. I did not skip one. So this is the main way that the pattern is written. It's just single crochet, chain one, skip one, single crochet in the next one. It goes very fast all the way across. All right. So then you're going to come back and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to single crochet into the first one, chain 1, single crochet into the next single crochet, chain 1, single crochet into the next single crochet, chain 1, and you go all the way across like that. Now, the nature of crochet is that they don't line up perfectly. They kind of go side to side. So the single crochets that are here are completely stacked. This is off to the side a little bit. That's how it is on here. They're not off centered on purpose. It's just the nature of how it is. These 2 rows line up, those 2 rows line up. They're just slightly off centered. And so that's what the look you get here. So the other option, if you like the look of this better, where they're all lined up, the other option is doing a split single crochet. But normally you're doing a split single crochet from the right side. So you can see your 2 lines, you insert your hook in between them. It's really easy to see. But we're doing a split single crochet on the back side of the single crochets. These are harder to see. So let me pull out this row. You would start it right away with row 2, but I'm going to show it on row 3, but you would actually start it on row 2. And how to insert your hook on a split single crochet when you're on the back side is, do you see this little nub of nothing? It's a little horizontal line that goes down. Each one has it. Each single crochet has it. It has right here, and it goes down. It's under your top 2 loops. It's this little nub here. You need to make sure you're inserting your hook under that. That's how you get this split single crochet. So let me show you. You're still chaining 1 in between. All we're doing is, instead of going through these top 2 loops, which is the normal way to do the single crochet, I'm making sure I'm inserting my hook under. So you can see how I do it is I kind of use my hook to get the top of the head of my crochet hook under. I'm making sure I'm going under this nub in those top 2 loops. So think of it as like you're going under 3 loops. And that will align this stitch right on top of the last one. So chain 1, we'll do it again. So here's that nub. I need to insert my hook under it. So I pull up a loop. So instead of just going here, which goes on top of this nub, I'm making sure that I'm going under it. And that is how you get a split single crochet when you're looking at the stitch from the wrong side. And doing that is what makes it. Now, another way of looking at it is this nub goes from horizontal to vertical. So it goes here and goes down. So if you're thinking of split single crochet, think of it as you're inserting your hook so that this line is touching this one. That's where I want to insert my hook. That's how I will make those 2 legs stand apart. So I'm inserting my hook so that this goes to the other side. So whether you want to look at it as you're inserting your hook under this nub or moving the nub to the side, either way is a fine way of looking at it. Okay, so again, here's that little nub. I'm inserting my hook under it, moving it to the side. So I insert my hook. So I'm going under these top 2 loops and this strand. So I'm creating a hole for myself. That's why I'm going hook first to create that hole to go in. So yes, this is much more finicky. After a while, you can get into the rhythm and you can kind of scoop it out. It's like you can scoop to create that like little tunnel for yourself. But don't get me wrong, this is very finicky. This is definitely not necessary. The sweater looks just fine. And what this does will make all these V's stand in a line so that you get almost like a ribbed look. It's a more defined look. But either are great. Both work just fine. The sweater is not meant to stress you out. So if you do not want to do that, don't do the split single crochet. It's just an option, just if you want to. Do it with regular single crochets. It'll go really, really fast. And then you're done with that part and you'll move on to the collar. So go ahead, do your bottom ribbing, and I'm going to meet you and we'll talk about the collar. All right, see you shortly. Hey everybody. All right, last thing for today. I know there's been a lot, but I mean, the bottom ribbing, it's easy depending on which one you did. The seaming doesn't take that long. Last thing is the collar ribbing, and I'm telling you, this does not take that long. It's just a couple of rounds to go around, and you'll see it's hard because the words sound confusing. So I want to walk you through what you're going to be doing, but everything's there. So it's one of those things where you're like, what is she talking about? So I think once you see it, you'll go, oh, duh. Okay. So I know that the words are a little confusing today. It makes a lot more sense when you see it. So let me show you how to do the collar edging. As always, join me at my table. Come on down. All right. So this is our pretty crew neck that we have going on. And what you're going to be doing is just a few rounds. There's not that much. We're only doing an inch. If you want your neckline to be not as wide, you can always add more rounds as you go around. That's totally fine to do as well. This is your sweater. Make it however you want, like however wide you want it. Even 2 more rounds, which would be like an inch and a half, would look great. It won't overwhelm your sweater in any way, shape, or form. So feel free to do what you want there. But this is all that you have left to do for today. It's not that much, but I will say the start of it is a little confusing. So let me show you. I have a little mini version for us to look at. So we are going to pretend that all those swatches that we have been doing the whole time. Well, this is now it's like I cut the bottom off. It's just this is our top of our sweater. We're going to be working our neckline. Pretend that this is our neckline. Obviously, it's like in a doll size right now. But pretend this is your full neckline. And the confusing part that I'm talking about is the very first sentence. What it tells you to do is mark off your inner corners. So you need to grab your stitch markers, and it tells you to mark off your inner corners, and they say that there's 4 inner corners. And I understand, Robin, there are no corners. It's curved. So let me tell you what I mean by that. What I mean by that is wherever you go from a straight to an angle. So remember when we were doing these kickouts on your back of your sweater? So it goes from a straight to an angle. I want you to mark that space right there. That is an inner corner. Now this angle is going to go to a vertical. So I want you to mark this space right here. So it tells you that there's 4 inner corners on the front and the back. Well, we have 2 done. We have the same 2 over here. So we're going to mark these off over here too. And then for my little sample here, my front and my back are exactly the same. But it's really no different on yours. Just know that yours is deeper, right? This angle, where it's just real little here, is just longer. I want you to mark off the start and the end of that angle of your crew neck. Let me show you on the big one. I want you to mark off where this is your horizontal and this is your angle. I want you to mark off these 2 points where it goes from horizontal to an angle to a vertical. Those are the 2 points on your front that I want you to mark off. So we'll mark off them here, which is the same as they will be on your back. It's horizontal and then it kicks up to be an angle. And then we have the angle and it goes up to be a vertical. So then the same here. This is our horizontal, or that's our angle, our diagonal. This is where it joins to the vertical. And this is where it joins to the horizontal. So we marked off our 4 corners. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's call this the front. And we'll pretend this is the back. 4 on the back. All right. Now this part, you guys got. What I want you to do is I want you to evenly move my stitch marker. I want you to evenly do single crochets all the way around. But when you get to a stitch marker, I want you to do a single crochet 2 together. Because basically what we're going to do is scrunch up our neckline so it is a gentle curve and we're not adding too many extra stitches, because if you did like a 1 for 1, it would wing out, and we want to keep it in the curve. So let's join our yarn and work on it together. Join your yarn to anywhere in the back with a single crochet. So I just choose the center stitch and I'm going to do a single crochet. Then it tells you to single crochet evenly until the marker. So when you're working on this horizontal area, you know this is a chain 2 space. So put 2 single crochets in there. Then you have a single crochet. And now you can either, we're going to do a decrease. You can either do it now, which is 1 stitch before the marker, or you could do it right at the marker. It doesn't matter. Just be consistent. For us, I'm going to do it 1 stitch before. The only reason is because then I remember to do it. I know that sounds silly, but if I see the stitch marker and I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm going to do a decrease here because I can insert my hook into the next stitch, insert my hook into where the stitch marker is, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then I know, oh, I did my decrease, and remove my marker. All right, now we start traveling up. We'll be working over the row ends now as you go up. And when it comes to being even, when you're working over the row ends, you'll notice I'll do this a lot. If there's if it ends on a single crochet, I'll put 1 stitch in here. If it ends on a double crochet, I'll put 2 stitches in there. That is a general, I'm doing it by my eyeball. That's how I'm doing it. You could put in more, you could put in less. When it comes to a neckline, if you're shooting for one versus the other, put in less because you want your neckline more together. It's a big, we have lots of space. Don't worry, it'll get over your head. That's the only thing you worry about necklines, is a fit over your head. But it will. So when it says evenly, it means take a guess. So we're going to go around this space. I'm going to put 2 in here. 1, 2. That was our chain 3 space, and I'm just going to put 2 in there. Now I'm going to do another decrease. So I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, I'm going to move my stitch marker out of my way, and I'm going to go insert my hook into the next part of the row end, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through those. So I did another decrease to keep it, let's say, as even as possible. Now I'm just going to I'm going to evenly go across my row ends. So I'm going to put, this was my double crochet. I put kind of 2 stitches in here. This is a single, so I'll put 1 single crochet in there. 1 single crochet I know is in that one. 1 single crochet in the front panel, because that's the next row. 1 single crochet in the next one. This is a double crochet, so I'll put 1, 2. You can go all the way around the post when you're working on the row ends, or you can stick your hook through the center of the stitch. So this one went around, this one went through the center. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Just stay consistent, don't do the 2 like I did, just stay consistent. All right, I got to another stitch marker, so I'm going to remove my marker, insert my hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, insert my hook into the next row end, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm at this angled, so I put 2 in the other side, so I might as well put 1, 2. Again, I went around it, however you want to do it. Remove my marker, insert my hook in around the post, then I'm going to go into the next stitch, insert my hook and go around. Where I'm putting these decreases don't matter so much, right? Like, it's not, you don't need to be, oh, I put mine here or I put mine there. I don't want you to stress. I just want you to make sure you have 4 decreases so that it's going to keep the shape of the curve. But 1 stitch over or 1 stitch back won't matter. Okay, so we're going to put a single crochet in each one of these stitches going across. So chain 2 spaces, that means I'm going to do 2 single crochets. Double crochet, I'm going to put a double crochet. The main thing when it's working even, when you're working across the stitches, that's easy. You know how many stitches there are. You put, that a number of stitches in there. All right, I'm 1 stitch before my stitch marker, so I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, remove that one, then insert it into the next row end, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all of those. Now I'm going to put 2, because that's just what I've been doing. I've been putting 2 on this angle. So I'll put 2 here, remove my marker, and now I'll put my decrease here. Insert my hook, pull up a loop, insert my hook, pull up a loop. It really doesn't matter when you go around. The main thing you want to look at, now that, I got around, you want to make sure that it's not waving or winging out. Like, this is nice and tidy. That's really what you're looking for when you're doing your edging, your first set of edging. It doesn't matter how many you're putting around. Everybody will put a different amount. There is one thing I'll tell you about the amount when we get to the end. Okay, so keep working evenly up. So if it's a double crochet row, I like to put 2 in there. If it's a single crochet row, I'll put 1. Again, you can go through the stitches or around the stitches. It's up to you. Whatever makes it easier for you to insert your hook is all good. And remember, I'm doing like, oh, I know that row was a single crochet. If you can't tell, just eyeball it. If you're choosing between putting more or less, because Look how these are spaced out. They look kind of like they're wide. That's what you want. You want to choose less versus more. Putting more in there is going to give you, like a really open, wide neck, unless that's what you're going for. If you want a really wide neck, then don't let me stop you. If you want a more tidy neck, put in less stitches. It will even out in the edging round. All right, we keep going around our work. We got to our stitch marker. We'll do another decrease. Insert my hook, pull up a loop. Insert my hook, pull up a loop. Then I'm now getting right around back to the beginning. I put 2 in my edge there. Insert my hook, pull up a loop. Insert my hook into the next stitch to pull up a loop. So I'm putting another decrease in there. And now I'm just a few stitches from the end. So I'm going to work all the way until I get back around. All right. Now this is where you're going to pause and don't join them together. We're not going to join them together. Think of them as like spirals. So you're going to go ahead and lay your sweater down and look at your neckline. If it's, here you can see better on the front. If it is a tidy neckline, this is a tidy neckline, it is pulling in versus pulling out, then you have a good amount on there. If it's wanting to open up, then that's too many stitches. You want to kind of keep it together. You want to keep it nice and tidy. Second thing, we need to make sure that we have an even number of stitches. So I don't pay attention to this until I get to the end because I'm going to lose count as I go all the way around. So all I do is just count in 2s and make sure I have an even number of stitches. So I'm not even counting how many I have. I don't care about the number. I just care about how it looks. I do care that I have an even amount. So I literally am just grabbing every other stitch to quote unquote count to make sure that I have an even amount. All right, I got back to the end and I have 1 extra one. So I'm just going to remove that and say, okay, I don't need it. So now I have an even amount all the way around. That part of the edging, of marking it off and doing that, that's 90% of your work right there. That's probably the hardest thing that you'll do. The rest of the rounds, other than getting used to a split single crochet, you're good to go. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do all the way around for, I think it's 3 rounds. You do split single crochet in the back loop, split single crochet, crochet, and you just repeat that all the way around to kind of give a ribbed look. You can see it's the same thing we're going to do in the cuff. I know this is the long sleeve cuff, but we'll do it later on the cuff too. This is kind of what the ribbing will end up looking like. To do a split single crochet, we looked at it from the wrong side, and that was really hard. I'm telling you, from the right side, you got this. All you need to do is insert your hook between the 2 vertical lines of your single crochet. You don't need to worry about that bump or anything. Just insert your hook. It's under the top 2 loops between those 2. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through those 2. And you made a split single crochet. If it stacks directly on top, you got it right. Now the next one says to go in the back loop. So if you look at your single crochet, you have a front loop and you have a back loop. You're just going to do a single crochet in the back loop. Next one is a split. Insert your hook between those 2 vertical legs. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. You do a single crochet in that one. The next one go in the back loop. So that's the front loop. This is the back loop. The next one is to do a split single crochet. Well, I have decrease there. That's fine. Just insert your hook. Choose where you want to insert your hook. You can insert it through one strand or two strands. Doesn't matter. Pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through two. Do the next one in the back loop. And you go all the way around with split single crochet in the back loop. This will set you up so that when you keep going around, if you have a split single crochet, you'll put a split single crochet. If you're in the back loop, you're in the back loop, which is how it'll make the ribbing. And you're just going to continue that all the way around. So that part, the hardest thing here is just getting used to. I will use my hook and kind of hook it in there to get in between those two legs. Also, when you're doing a split single crochet, I'll do it gently. Like, I will make sure that my single crochets are not super tight while I'm working them. That also tends to help a lot. And we just work this all the way around. And you're just going to continue that all the way around for however, I think it's 3 times is what the pattern tells you. Slip stitch to the very first one, fasten off, and you're done with your collar. So finally, you're done with part 5. I know it's all that finishing things, but now all you have left is your sleeves tomorrow, so that's pretty exciting. You're getting really, really far. All right, I'm going to let you go because you got work to do. Have a great time. And I know your project is going to be fantastic. If you're getting frustrated with the split single crochet, just do a regular crochet and then do the other one in the back loop. Like, don't stress yourself out. It's okay. Some people love split single crochet. Some people hate it. It's okay. It's okay if you switch into a regular single crochet. It's going to look a little different than what the one our sample looks like, but what does it matter? If you are cool with it, then everyone will be cool with it. It's totally okay. It's just a tiny little amount. Like, it's just a tiny little amount. All right, go crochet, enjoy, and don't forget, like I said, you can make this wider if you want. Try it on, see what it looks like. You make it for you. All right, now I really let you go. Okay, bye everybody.